As Milky neared the glowing ball, she paused, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. "Is it safe to touch?" she asked. Doggy gave a reassuring nod. "Go ahead. The moment you touch it, something will happen." The moment Milky touches it, the ball emits a bright green light, shocking Doggy. He reveals that Milky has a top-tier wood spiritual root, an incredibly rare gift, even among humans, with only a 1 in a million chance of appearing. Her body is naturally suited for pill refinement. He further explains that major sects would fight over someone with such talent, just like Aaron for the founding Titan. As the ball is surrounded by blooming trees and flowers, Wolf King and Milky stare in confusion. Meanwhile, Doggy whispers to Snaky, calling him lucky since he will never run out of pills. He even jokes about how human girls with a pure wood spiritual root are almost always considered top-tier beauties. Snaky blushes as Doggy teases him, urging him to imagine Milky in human form, suggesting she would enchant countless cultivators. Overcome with emotions, Snaky approaches Milky, looks into her eyes, and offers her wood element techniques along with a jade slip-on pill refinement. Milky blushes and thanks him. Milky then playfully asks Snaky whether she should call him daddy or hubby. Embarrassed, Snaky glares at Doggy, demanding to know what kind of knowledge he has been teaching her. Smirking, Doggy claims it's just common human knowledge and hints that Snaky and Milky had already shared some intimacy before she gained sentience. Wolf King chimes in, saying that hubby sounds more affectionate. Snaky, completely flustered, yells for them to shut up. But Milky hugs him gently and calls him hubby anyway. Despite blushing, Snaky insists she call him by his real name. Smiling, Milky calls him Snaky before asking if she should have a name too. Snaky agrees, calling her Snowy. Everyone then turns to Wolf King, who wonders if he deserves a name as well. He suggests Wolfie to match Snaky, but Doggy immediately rejects it, saying it sounds terrible. Instead, he names him Husky. When Husky asks for another option, Doggy simply tells him to shut up and place his hand on the ball for his turn. As Husky complies, the ball glows in 3 different colors. Doggy explains that Husky has top-tier spiritual roots in metal, fire, and water, but possessing multiple elements weakens their overall strength. Realizing he might be the weakest among them, Husky feels disheartened. Next, Snaky eagerly steps forward to test his abilities. When he touches the ball, it displays even more colors than Husky's. Confused, Snaky asks why there are so many. Suddenly, the ball releases a powerful burst of energy, breaking part of the cave wall. Shocked, Husky and Snaky freeze in place, but Doggy quickly commands Snaky to move his tail away. Snaky obeys, and the ball finally calms down. Still stunned, Snaky asks, "Was that a 7-color spiritual root? Is my aptitude worse than Husky's?" Doggy shakes his head and explains that while Snaky's roots are mixed, their quality is extremely high, especially his earth spiritual root. In fact, top tier isn't enough to describe its strength. Hearing this, Snaky smirks and jokes that he must be down to earth since earth is his strongest element. However, Doggy collapses in shock, realizing why Snaky learns techniques so quickly. Recognizing his potential, Snaky decides to focus on earth attribute techniques. Turning to Doggy, he insists it's his turn. When Doggy places his hand on the ball, it turns dark purple. Shocked, Snaky asks if that means Doggy has no spiritual root or if he has a dark spiritual root. Smirking, Doggy confirms that he possesses the dark spiritual root. He then gives Snaky a smug look and announces that he has regained some of his strength. Since he plans to enter seclusion to break through to the next level, he puts Snaky in charge of food and security. Snaky recalls their food supply and confidently assures everyone that as long as they don't encounter cultivators above the Foundation establishment level, he can protect Snowy and Husky. A month later, Snaky trains in earth spiritual root techniques. Practicing earth-piercing spike and earth-flowing wall, he is surprised to succeed on his first attempt. Testing his abilities, he attacks his earth wall with earth-piercing spike, and to his surprise, the spike easily pierces through. Realizing his wall defense is weak, he decides to focus on improving it. He experiments by combining earth armor with earth-flowing wall, and when he tests it again, the spike fails to break through. His theory is correct, the combination significantly strengthens his defense. Since there are 16 earth techniques in total, Snaky decides to master 1 offensive and 2 defensive techniques. Earth-piercing spike will be his main attack, while earth armor and earth-flowing wall will serve as his defenses. If he ever faces a Foundation establishment cultivator again, he may not win, but at least he will have a better chance to escape. Exhausted, he collapses onto the ground, panting. Despite improving his techniques, his cultivation level is not progressing much. He has already used up all his minor nourishment pills and high-grade beast meat. Frustrated, he realizes he needs to hunt for more meat to grow stronger. His thoughts shift to Snowy, wondering how her pill refinement training is going. Meanwhile, Snowy calmly prepares a pill, carefully adding herbs. However, remembering how she tends to mix random ingredients, Snaky suddenly gets chills. Love and marriage are scary. What if she makes minor nourishment pills using her creative methods? A bad feeling creeps up on him, and he decides that Husky should be the first to test her pills. At the same time, Husky hides, fully aware that Snowy wants to use him as a test subject. However, Snowy quickly finds him and cheerfully calls out, "Husky, try this pill." With no way to escape, Husky reluctantly swallows the pill. Within moments, his face twists in agony, and he collapses to the ground, groaning in pain. Panicked, Snowy rushes to him. "What happened, Husky? What's wrong?" Still panting, Husky weakly mutters, This isn't a pill. It's poison." Watching from a safe distance, Snaky shakes his head. "Yeah. I'm better off hunting spiritual beasts instead of relying on those pills." Determined, he sets off into the wild. After some time, he stumbles upon a herd of elephants and his eyes light up. "So big," he mutters in excitement. Observing the herd, he notices the infants and pregnant females, realizing that even the weakest among them are at the 3rd level of the spiritual awareness realm. Just one elephant could provide enough meat for days. His gaze then shifts to the herd leader, a massive beast radiating an intense aura. Snaky immediately recognizes it as a demonic beast, likely at the 9th level of the spiritual awareness realm. If he could take it down, it would be an incredible source of nourishment. Just as he prepares to make his move, he hears footsteps approaching. His body tenses, someone is nearby. Zhuan Yunyan, a direct disciple of Zhuan Yangzi, strides forward with the confidence. His followers trail behind him. Despite being only at the early stage of the Foundation establishment realm, he carries himself as if he owns the place. They approach a herd of elephants, leaving Snaky completely stunned. His eyes widen in disbelief as he realizes these snake catchers aren't just after snakes, they're targeting elephants too. Snaky can't believe what he's seeing. These people are taking poaching to a whole new level. As the snake-catching sect moves closer, Snaky uses his puppet technique, sending one of his lizards to scout the situation. Meanwhile, one of the warriors excitedly praises Uncle Mastery, pointing out the large number of mammoths in the area. Hua Yuntian nods in agreement, noting that elephant tusks are valuable treasures. Another warrior chimes in, suggesting that if they carve the tusks into beautiful jade and gift them to the women of the Purple Cloud sect, they'll surely win their favor. But the mammoths aren't just standing around waiting to be robbed. As the snake-catching sect gets closer, the leader of the mammoths realizes their true intentions. These humans aren't here to greet them, they're here to steal their tusks. Furious, the mammoth leader lets out a thunderous roar and charges at the intruders like a raging spirit beast. The sudden attack catches the snake catchers off guard. One warrior is sent flying like a ragdoll, while another barely manages to dodge in time. From the back, Hua Yun Tian watches with a smirk. Recognizing the mammoth leader as the strongest of the herd, he orders his subordinates to set up an array. The warriors quickly channel their energy into the ground, activating their ultimate move, the Extermination Great Array. The formation spreads, trapping the elephants and preventing them from escaping. The elephants struggle, stomping and trumpeting in protest, but Hua Yun Tian just chuckles. "Struggle all you want," he says. A fly caught in a spider's web doesn't get to complain. With a flick of his wrist, Hua Yun Tian hurls his spear into the array, striking down several elephants in an instant. The spear continues its deadly path, heading straight for a baby elephant. Snaky, watching through his puppet technique, panics. Are these guys trying to make elephants go extinct? He wonders, suddenly worried about his future food supply. Just before the spear hits, the mammoth leader leaps in front of the baby, shielding it with his own body. Realizing the dire situation, Snaky knows he must act. If the mammoths are wiped out, especially the pregnant females and calves, his future meals are at risk. However, he also understands that acting recklessly will only make things worse. The snake-catching sect has too many members, and if he becomes their target, escaping will be nearly impossible. Snaky decides he needs a smart plan, not just blind action. Meanwhile, the mammoth leader continues to struggle against the array. Hua Yuntian, impressed by the elephant's resilience, chuckles. Thick skin on this one, huh, he remarks, watching as the elephants resist despite their injuries. One of his warriors warns him that the array might not hold much longer. The elephants are relentlessly smashing into the barrier, trying to break free. Frustrated, Hua clicks his tongue. The array alone won't be enough. In a last attempt, Hua calls out to the mammoth leader, asking if he understands their language. He offers a deal: give us your tusks, and I'll spare the rest of your herd. He tries to manipulate the leader, urging him to think of the children and what will happen if he refuses. But the mammoth leader remains silent, simply smiling as the array suddenly shatters. The pregnant females and calves seize the opportunity, turning tail and fleeing. The leader, however, stays behind, determined to fight until the others have escaped. Hua's warriors report that some of the females and children have already gotten away. Annoyed but undeterred, Hua shifts his focus back to the leader. Unsheathing his sword, he declares, "If you won't accept my offer, we'll settle this in battle." But before he can attack, the mammoth leader lifts his trunk and lets out a thunderous call, a rallying cry for backup. Hua grits his teeth and barks orders. Zhang San, Li Si, Wang Wu chase down the ones who ran. The rest of you, stay with me and take down the leader. The warriors quickly split up, with Zhang San, Li Si, and Wang Wu rushing after the fleeing elephants. Snaky sees the chaos as his chance to intervene. Using his earth traversal technique, he targets a 9th level Qi refinement warrior and 2 at the 6th level, knowing they're weaker than the others. As the female elephants and calves flee, one warrior spots a baby elephant struggling to keep up. He informs his senior, Zhang San, who laughs and declares he'll take the lead while Li Si and Wang will provide backup. Remember, Zhang says, the loot gets divided, just like always. The baby elephant freezes in fear, realizing escape might be impossible. But before Zhang can strike, Snaky, hidden within a rock, launches an earth-piercing spike, tearing Zhang's body in two. Li Si and Wang will recoil in horror, their confidence shattered. Without hesitation, they turn and run, realizing they stand no chance against someone who effortlessly killed their senior brother. Snaky watches them flee and chuckles. "You think you can run?" he mutters. His lizards, lying in ambush, open their mouths and unleash bursts of energy, blasting the two warriors apart before they can escape. As one collapses, barely alive, Snaky rises from the ground with a cold smile. The surviving warrior begs for mercy, but Snaky doesn't hesitate. With a single decisive move, he eliminates him. Using his gravity technique, Snaky retrieves their storage bags and takes a deep breath. The mother elephants and calves are safe, for now. His gaze shifts to a tusk, and he briefly wonders if these warriors are really throwing their lives away for such a thing. But there's no time to dwell on it. More enemies are still out there. Snaky narrows his eyes, resolved to stay active in the battle. He'll wait for any warrior foolish enough to isolate themselves, and the moment they do, he'll strike.